Folks that are watching on Facebook Live just see the sheriff sitting there waiting for the program to start, and they see all this laughter going on, and I'm sure they're thinking, what in the world are they talking about?
Yeah. We may have to do one of those behind the scenes.
Yeah. Derek is always laughing about something.
Sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying.
That's right. Well, folks, this is Tim Radford, WKRK 105.5 FM, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am. It is that time of the week where we have the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office with us here, and Sheriff Derek Palmer is our usual guest, and so glad to have you with us today. We missed you last time you weren't here.
Good morning. Where was? Oh yeah, I was out of town last week. I was trying to think where I was last week.
We had the Mark and Mark show.
Yeah, I was out of town for the weekend. I do youth retreat weekends and still try to do some ministry work and stuff with the youth in the area. And I was gone last weekend, not for a youth retreat, but for an adult retreat. So I enjoyed it and get a few days away and get a few days off. But it was just good to get away.
You missed all the steaks that were here last week.
That's what I hear. Yeah,
they were Mark, especially Patterson. He really loved those steaks that were here.
Well, I thought they were awful anxious to come to the radio station on Friday. I didn't have to argue with them or anything. They was like, "Yeah, we'll go."
Yeah, we'll go.
So I guess that's what happens when you're gone.
All right. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. There was an accident with a school bus yesterday, and a lot of folks may not have heard about it. So let's go ahead and tell folks what that situation was about.
Yeah, yesterday evening when they was doing their routes, there was an accident that occurred on Joe Brown Highway, just above Ramsey Street, between Ramsey Street and West Sawmill Road. It was in that area. And there was a school bus versus motorcycle. Nobody on the school bus was injured. The school bus driver was fine. Bus had minor damage, but the person on the motorcycle had to be flown out. I don't know the circumstances of that. I really can't comment who's at fault and all those kind of things on it, but I will tell you that it's just a bad situation, especially when you got those curves and traffic backed up and those kind of things. So responders responded pretty quickly to that, but I'll reiterate again, no children were hurt or nobody on the school bus was hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's hard if you're on a motorcycle, something that size, compared to a school bus size,
right,
for there not to be some kind of injuries there.
Right, yeah. And the patient was conscious and alert when we got there and was able to answer questions and those type of things. But anytime you have that type of accident, especially when you have a virtual head-on collision with the school bus, you want to take every precaution as possible, and they actually did have some head trauma, so they flew the patient out yesterday just to see, just to make sure everything was okay. So I've not heard an update or anything on that, but it's one of those things, and it's surprisingly there wasn't a whole lot of talk about it yesterday. Dispatch told me this morning when I went by there that they didn't get a whole lot of calls about it or anything at dispatch. So
I hadn't heard about it until you came in this morning.
Right. So it's we just want to get ahead of any rumors or anything going around. It's it does happen from time to time, and we just our best wishes goes out to the person that was injured and the children on the school bus. They were a little bit shaken up as far as being involved in an accident, but they were physically okay. So everything worked out well.
Any significant damage to the bus? Is it still drivable?
It was drivable. They did some minor repairs on the roadside yesterday just to get the bumper away from the wheels and those type of things, trying to make sure the bus was working order. The mechanics came over from the school bus garage and did an inspection on the bus and checked for all the things they need to make sure the bus was safe to drive back to the garage. And I know that they were doing that yesterday evening. And like I say, I don't know this morning whether that particular bus is back on the road today or not, but I know they were giving it a once-over inspection yesterday.
All right. Earlier this week, there was a situation not too far from that situation of the accident that was at the Texaco station there on Joe Brown Highway. And,
yeah.
And I had gotten some text messages that night wanting me to cover the breaking news, and I was asking Derek, what's going on with this hostage situation that I'm hearing about?
Right.
So the messages that I got were a lot more dramatic than
well, it was a tense situation.
It was tense.
It was a tense situation for the officers, but as a matter of fact, I wasn't notified of it either. We have an automatic paging system through our CAD system at the sheriff's office, And there's things that when the dispatchers type into the system as the type of calls, it automatically sends administration pages out for things that are newsworthy, things that are violent crime, and things, that you might want to be made aware of. And, those are things, robberies, chases, homicides, those type of things. Major events where all chases, where officers are driving high speeds and things of that nature. Those are automatic things that are put out from the CAD system. The call came in as an animal complaint, so it didn't send out a page to anybody. And so, as a matter of fact, I'm sitting at home just scrolling through Facebook and see a Facebook Live post where officers are at the Joe Brown Texaco and they're going in, and there's a bunch of people gathered in the store and all that. So I had a little heart drop there for just a minute trying to figure out what was going on, because there was those type of posts of hostage situations and all those kind of things. So, but for those that may not have heard of it, what had happened was there was an animal, a pit bull, that had wandered into the store. Somebody, as they were going in, while the doors opened, the dog came in the store behind them. And the dog was acting very aggressively. It was actively trying to attack people, biting people, trying to bite people, and acting very aggressively toward the people. They got it hemmed into a room, a bathroom, I believe it was, into the store. And no one could go near it. The dog was attacking the door and trying to bite people and trying to get out and all those kind of things. And so officers had to respond to that and take care of that situation. They were able to, with catch poles and with cages and stuff, were able to get the dog caught and to get it put into a crate and taken outside of the store, where it was given into Murphy PD's possession at that point. So it was a little bit tense situation. One of the officers had told me that he had never seen a dog act that aggressive, that he had been around aggressive dogs his entire career, but he had never seen a dog do that and act that aggressive inside the store. So it was a situation. We're just glad nobody got hurt.
Absolutely. And folks, when we joke about it, it's not a situation where I think it's really a funny situation, because if I were there, I would probably be extremely nervous as well, and just because it was. But the thing that I'm laughing about is how sometimes rumors, how it gets twisted on Facebook or twisted on text messages. So the whole situation that I was asking about was not happening.
Right. Yeah.
So, but people will take one or two words and then make it a bigger situation, or just completely different situation. But that happened. No one was hurt, luckily, and we'll just go from there.
It was a similar thing back several years ago. I was sharing it with dispatch while I was there this morning. Several years ago, it was before Facebook, before social media and all that, I actually got a call for a fight in progress. All the dispatcher could tell was a lot of fighting, breaking dishes, screaming, yelling, getting out of the house, that type of thing. And so I went to the call, and when I went to the call, there was a older gentleman with his hands on his knees out in the yard, sweat running down, panting. He was out of breath. I asked him if he had been fighting, and he said, yeah, I have. And I said, who you been fighting with? And he just pointed over his shoulder back toward his house. And when I looked up, a black bear walked out of his front door. And so he was actually in the house cooking and had his back door open because it was hot in the house, letting some of the heat out and that type of thing. And a bear walked in his back door and had him trapped in the kitchen. And so he said, yeah, I've been fighting that bear. So a lot of times these type of things happen. But now with social media and Facebook and all those things get out, and a lot of the terminology and words that are used with that sometimes can blow things out of proportion. And
communication
the story
errors.
Twisted. Yeah. But it was kind of a tense situation. It was a bad situation of trying to get the aggressive dog out of the store. But they were able to do that, and everybody got out of there safely. So we was proud that turned out the way it did.
All right. Another thing that's going on, Andrews Police Department is now at full staff.
They are.
What does that mean for Cherokee County Sheriff's Office?
Well, we're glad they're back to full staff. That means we can more and more start backing out of the daily patrols within the city limits of Andrews, which frees us up to do more of our patrolling around the county that we need to do, and a lot of things outside the city limits that we need to get accomplished out there. We're been very glad to help the town of Andrews through their time of crisis and help them get going, getting back on their feet. We've actually been helping patrol up there routinely since, I think, January of this year. So We've been up there several months.
I know Mayor James Reed has, even last night when I
Right.
saw him last night, he was talking about how much he appreciated the relationship that Andrews and the sheriff's office had
Right.
with each other, because it's been just a great thing to have you guys help out when they were in need.
Right. And it's like I say, we want to do what we can to help out our neighbors and our people around within the county and our citizens of the county. And when the mayor was in the situation that he was in when he was first elected, and the situation there with the police department, we sat down and had long discussions about it. And, we want to help the people of Andrews as much as we do anybody else in the county. So we were willing to step in and help out with that. So as we start easing out now and backing out of town of Andrews, just let the people also know up there that even though we're not doing routine patrols in Andrews now that they're full staffed, you will still see sheriff's cars within the city limits of Andrews. We'll still assist with them up there. And in the event that they make an arrest, take someone to jail, and the town of Andrews is left open, we'll continue to answer calls and do things in Andrews, because we want to just continue to help those folks up there the best we can.
All right. I know I'd been in the Andrews Police Department one time before. They actually have a jail cell that is there,
Right.
but it's pretty much used for storage now.
Right.
How come they stopped using that actually to hold?
Well, as the years went by, laws have changed on holding facilities and those type of things, and so anytime you have a facility where you're housing prisoners and you're housing people that you've arrested, there's rules and regulations and guidelines and standards have to be set for that. And so most all the counties that I know of now, except for maybe some of the metropolitan areas such as Charlotte, those places, just about all the 100 counties in the state just use the local county jail now for holding facilities, because of all the guidelines and rules and detention certifications and all those things you have to have to be able to hold someone in a cell. So,
Okay. Well, I was just curious.
yeah, so years ago they quit using those holding cells up there in Andrews and started using the county jail.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Now, you talked about meeting Mayor Reed last night. I assume you're talking about the Citizens Academy that we're doing.
Yes, the Citizens Law Enforcement Academy.
Right. That's been going for several weeks now. I don't think you were able to attend the night that I did my class there. I think it was the night of the debates.
The very first one.
night. And so we did an abbreviated class there that night and got everybody up to par and up to going about what the sheriff's office is and the history of it and things of those nature. But in the last couple of weeks, you've been going, and I hope that you've been having good instructors.
Absolutely.
And those kind of things.
We had Stephanie Swanson last Thursday, and then last night we had Jake Chapman.
Right.
And both did great presentations and a lot of questions from the audience, and
Right.
Just a very interactive type environment with good information.
I know Jake was a little bit nervous about doing that last night. He is one of the first ones he had done, and he was a little bit nervous about it. And I was curious what you thought about him or how he did.
Did a great job, yeah. Answered a lot of great questions and very comfortable. He told us he was a little nervous
Right.
Beforehand, but he did a great job and very, very knowledgeable person.
Right. And Jake is our first sergeant over patrol, and he runs our patrol division, and we're thankful for him, and he does a great job with that. So as you go through the next several weeks, you'll have different instructors from different areas of the sheriff's office, letting you know a little bit about what the different areas do and how they operate and work. And so I'm glad you're enjoying that, and I encourage anybody else out in the community that would like to be a part of that. You can go ahead and register for the next classes that are coming up. So.
And one of the questions last night is, well, even Jake, we were talking, he wanted to know what the whole outcome after this whole
Right.
class is finished with, the 10-week class. What is the outcome or expectations of those students that are
Right.
taking that?
Yeah. And what were some of the answers?
I'm not sure. Just a lot of information, getting to know, and these students being the eyes and the ears of
Right.
the community. What do you envision?
Well, there's a couple of things we can do with that. One of the things that we want to make sure that anybody that wants to take that qualifies for it is able to do that. Mm-hmm. As I say, you do have to do background checks, and there are criteria for the class. And then it's subject to approval of the sheriff. I have to approve those people that's taking that class. But one of the things about those classes is just information, just understanding the operations of the sheriff's office, what we do, what we're about, what our philosophies are. kind of the structure of the sheriff's office and what we're responsible for. And it's a lot of just information type things so people can understand and build a relationship between the community and the sheriff's office. The second step to that is there's other things that people can do is once they have completed the class and have their certification, they're considered a certified volunteer at that point. And so they can come back to the sheriff's office and help around things around the office. Or if you want to take a little bit step further, there's things we're looking for in the future that we're not currently doing that we would like to utilize this class for, whether it be like directing traffic at events, whether it's just being there for information, doing booths during different festivals and different things. They could be a representative of the sheriff's office doing those. We're looking at one thing that myself and the chief deputy had talked about is maybe developing a couple of volunteer cars. They can't run blue lights if they're a volunteer, but we can change the color of lights on the car, put sheriff's office volunteer on the side of it, and they could do things like funeral escorts and those type of things that our deputies are currently doing that can free up our deputies to do other things where they're not tied up doing a lot of these things. We don't regret doing the funeral escorts, and it's not something that we're trying to get rid of. We'll continue to do those forever. I think that it's just a respect thing for our citizens, and that anybody that we can try to escort funerals and try to get them their final resting place and try to console the family. I think it's a service that Sheriff's Office needs to continue to do. But we're looking at some different ways of accomplishing that. Still do it as a Sheriff's Office, still accomplishing that. People have asked about registration. You can download those registrations online, or you can call up the Sheriff's Office and speak to Dawn up front, and she can get you the registrations. Or Roger Williams is the one that's actually where they go to get those.
Well, if they don't have internet or a phone, they can just stop
just
by.
Come by the sheriff's office, tell them you like a registration for the Citizens Law Enforcement Academy, and they'll get your registration for that. And typically what we try to do is just do your registrations and turn them in, get approved for it, and then when we get enough people together, then Roger will schedule the next class to do it. So we could have 2 a year, we could have 3 a year, just depending on how many people we have sign up for it.
And the folks that are there in the class, I noticed they were pretty eager to well, first of all, there was support and appreciation for the officers and all the law enforcement folks. And they they said things like, how can we help you? Can we do some paperwork? Can we do filing? What can we do to make you get out and be able to fight crime more instead of, because I know there's a lot of paperwork situations in your profession.
And you'll see one of the weeks that you'll do is talking about the gun registration, or not the gun registration, but the concealed handgun permits and the purchase permits, those type of things that we do through our office. You'll see there's a lot of paperwork that goes on with that, a lot of background with that we have to do, a lot of rules and guidelines we have to follow with that. And so a lot of those things just a volunteer can't do because you have to be DCI certified, or you have to do all these things, computer-wise to do it. But there are filing things. There are phone calls that can be made. There are letters to be sent out. There's those type of things that volunteers could do to help. So as the class progresses and you see all these different facets of what the Sheriff's Office does, there may be certain areas that you'd say, hey, I'd like to help out in this area or that area, whether it's investigations or the Victims Advocate Program, or whether it's concealed handgun purchase permits, or with patrol, like I say, through the helping direct traffic and funeral escorts and those type of things. But the other thing that I was going to mention that I neglected to mention, for those that's going through the class that may be retired law enforcement or ex-military, those type of people, we may take that a little bit step further in the future. And so if we have, for example, a neighborhood that's getting a lot of breaking and enterings or something in the neighborhood, we may utilize some ex-law enforcement or people who are used to doing investigations and that type of thing to maybe just go out and just canvass a neighborhood. Maybe just go out, knock on doors and talk to neighbors and say, hey, did you see anything on this night, or do you have any strange vehicles in the area or anything like that, Just gathering information for the detectives. So there's a lot of different avenues it can go in. It just depends on who we have sign up, who completes the class, and who wants to come back and work. So
is this one of your larger classes?
It is. We have done a couple in the past, and we usually have 8 to 10, something like that. But I think this particular class we have near 30 in there.
Wow.
And it's one of the bigger classes.
Andrews is pretty well represented there.
It is pretty well represented. Andrews has got several people in the class, and so I'm proud to say that.
By the way, hello, Fred. watching in Chattanooga,
from
Tennessee.
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a lot more. And one of the great things about the class, too, is that people just get this information. I've learned quite a bit just by listening to
Right.
Stephanie and Jake about law enforcement aspects that I would not have ever thought
Right.
about.
Yeah.
And last night we talked about a lot of the crimes being targeted toward people that have second homes
Right.
in the area.
Right.
And a lot of ideas on how to prevent that kind of burglary.
Well, one of the questions, that I get a lot and that we get a lot is that so-and-so's dealing drugs up the street, or this person's a pain in their side, and they all kind of have problems at their house. Why don't you just go kick their door in? Why don't you arrest them? Why don't you put them in jail? And I think when you take these kind of classes and you understand the dynamics of it and the background of it and understand what the laws are, a lot of people come away from these citizens classes going, "Oh, I understand now.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what the issues are and what the problems are and why why the sheriff can't accomplish this, or why it takes time to accomplish it, and you can't just go up there today and do something with it." And people understand when they take these type of classes that it's not like NCIS or CSI or those things you watch on television where in 30 minutes it's wrapped up and prosecuted and sent off to prison.
With commercial breaks.
With commercial breaks, yeah.
If you ever decide to sell commercial breaks during your investigations, let me know.
We could do that. Just Facebook Live them, right?
Yes.
And then do breaks.
We'll be right back with a case solution right after this.
There you go. Hey, that's a good idea. We may think about that.
I like
do
that,
live
yes.
PD for Murphy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. What else is going on at the sheriff's office? Let's see. We have the running with the law coming
Yes, we do. I think that's this coming weekend, I believe.
up. I think I have it on my phone, but I have a.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was it the 26th?
I believe it was the 27th. I think it was Saturday the 27th, running with the law.
Yes.
We want to encourage everybody to come out and take part in that also. This is another
Yes.
partnership that we're trying to do with the community. I think it's our third one, I believe, that we're doing. Yes, our third annual Running with the Law, and it's on October 27th. And so this is another partnership we try to do with our communities to get our community involved with the sheriff's office, so that we can just have fun together. And you don't have to run the whole thing. You can walk the course if you'd like to walk the course. I know sometimes some of the kids, even though they're not supposed to, some of the kids may bring a bicycle and ride the bicycle on the course. And we kind of discourage that a little bit because we don't want to have an accident, while they're riding. But from time to time they do. And but these are just things that we try to get our community involved in, and it's sponsored not only by the sheriff's office, but Murphy Police Department helps out. The Hiwassee Valley Pool and Wellness Center helps out with this. Andrews Police Department, the campground or the compound, and the park, and all those places kind of help out with it. So it's kind of a collaborative effort of sponsorship and trying to take care of this event. And what happens is it's a course through Murphy. It comes down, it's a 5K walk or run, and it starts at the sheriff's office. It goes up through the middle of town and back around to the sheriff's office. And it is escorted by blue lights, and you have law enforcement participating, not only running in the event and participating in the event, but also escorted by law enforcement, sheriff's office, Murphy Police Department, and Andrews Police Department, and Highway Patrol if they have anybody available to like to help out. And so we just try to turn on the blue lights as it does. So we try to get the lights on and get everybody out there and just participate. It's a neat little event.
How can folks register, and what are the costs?
Talk to Stephanie Swanson. There at the sheriff's office. Registration fee is $25. All of that money goes back to the Women's Auxiliary Unit there at the sheriff's office, and goes through domestic violence and those type of things. So it's helped to support the victims advocate part of the unit and what they do. So we want everybody to come out and take part in that. And also after the race itself, in the parking lot of the sheriff's office, where there's continuing to have blue lights, patrol car there, we have little mini events for the youth. So we have a 100-yard dash, have those type of things, that the little kids can compete with each other on, and the little prizes and stuff for that. So,
and I plan to be there with my Facebook Live camera and get Stephanie on camera, because I know she's looking forward to it.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Might even break the drone out for that, Matt.
Awesome. That'd be cool.
There we go.
Yes. Now, what's one of those things that you stand on and you kind of lean
the Segway.
Segway. I need to get one of those so I can start walking in these.
There you go. That would help,
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
that would be just fantastic.
You'd work till your battery run dead. And
That's
then you'd
right.
have to walk.
I can mount the camera on top of my helmet and
Right.
just show folks exactly what it looks like.
Right.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss? I see our time is slipping away from us.
It is. I just want it won't be long. Halloween will be here, and it won't be long for that. So maybe next week we'll talk a little bit about Halloween safety and do's and don'ts and those type of things before our Halloween weekend. So just everybody be careful out there. Cold weather's coming. One quick thing mentioned on the cold weather. It's supposed to be probably frosting this weekend. It's supposed to be down in the high 30s, low 40s this weekend. And just remember that we are still doing the firewood program at the sheriff's office. Mm-hmm. We do that for seniors. So if you're a senior or you know a senior that's in need of firewood that maybe can't afford it, we always try to encourage them to go through the DSS Energy Assistance Program first. If you can't get through that program or don't qualify for that program, or it's an emergency situation, just call the sheriff's office. We'll make sure that you have some wood there for your seniors, okay?
Do you still have the program where you call out to seniors
We do.
Every day to check on their welfare?
We do. We still have that program also where we call on seniors and check on them and make sure they're okay. So if you have any seniors that you may be out of town listening to this, maybe in another town or another state, but you have a senior that lives in Cherokee County that you'd like checked on, you can call the detention center at Cherokee County and register that senior for their senior check program. And we will be calling them on a daily basis and checking on them to make sure they're okay.
That's a great program because I really have a special place in my heart for seniors. And a lot of seniors just live alone. They don't have they may be widows or widowers, and they don't have folks that live at home with them.
Right.
And just have someone call and check on them on a regular basis.
And they're very appreciative. They really are. They're very appreciative when our detention officers or someone from the sheriff's office calls and checks on them. And they're very good about if they go to a doctor's appointment or go out of town or go with family, they'll call and let us know that they're going to be out of town, not to check on them for X amount of days. And it's just a good relationship with them. And we have some ladies there at the sheriff's office that every year tries to do senior presents and do some kind of gift for them and some kind of present. And I try to go out with them and deliver the presents to the seniors every Christmas. So we just have a good time, and it's a good program. So if you know anybody out there that qualifies or would like to be a part of that, just sign your senior up, and we'll be more than happy to check on them.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you. And Pam, thank you for the nice comment. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Pam.
It's WKRK Radio in Murphy, North Carolina, 105.5 FM. 13. I forgot where we were. 1320, right?
Right.
Yeah, 1320 AM, cable TV channel 25, and worldwide we're at country.am.
I would do it for you, but you took your little sign down with all the stuff on it.
I need to add that back, don't I? Folks, have a great day. Stay tuned. We'll have Pastor Rod Brown coming up from the Little Brasstown Baptist Church in just a moment, right here on WKRK.